Why you can't relax. The neuroscience of burnout. We built machines to process data so our brains could finally rest. In the end, our brains became the ruthless machines instead. We buy highly expensive noise-cancelling audio devices for our ears, only to hear the sheer paranoia in our own heads more clearly. We believe advanced technology will grant us absolute, unbound freedom, yet we silently lost control of our own biological free will. You might be sitting right now in a completely silent, empty room, but inside your head, there is a chaotic, screaming metropolis. The modern world moves at a speed that actively destroys the nervous system. Our brains constantly try to process endless, unpredictable mutations in data. Neuroscientists call this underlying mental mechanism the default mode network. It is the engine that builds identity from entirely fabricated narratives. It pulls you from the present to simulate non-existent pasts and futures. When severely overworked, it manufactures a localized hell within the human mind. Over 2 millennia ago, the Buddha explained this with absolute structural clarity. He called this exact process of mental proliferation the concept of papanka. It is the unchecked inflation of thought that expands and consumes reality. It turns raw, neutral sensory data into a catastrophic global-scale tragedy. Modern humans are deeply terrified of their own absolute spiritual silence. So we happily pay monthly fees for expensive digital meditation applications. We install them on the exact same devices that crush our focus daily, all to learn how to breathe, an autonomic reflex we were born with. Imagine yourself sitting entirely alone in a towering glass building at midnight. Every corporate email is sent, and the outside world is perfectly still. The quarterly targets have been achieved exactly as the economic system demanded. Yet your heart is racing with a formless, nameless existential dread. Your brain's amygdala is actively detecting a lethal threat that does not exist. Without a literal predator hiding in the ancient, tall grass of the savannah, we simply manufactured that exact predator inside our glowing digital inboxes. This is the precise moment absolute vulnerability overtakes us all. The Four Noble Truths are not an outdated, mystical religious belief system. They are the most powerful structural diagnostic tool for human psychology ever created. Craving in this modern era is simply a hijacked, predictable dopaminergic loop. Social algorithms are engineered to breach our deep nervous system continuously. They stimulate a relentless, artificial thirst for the very next hit of validation. When that digital reward is withheld, sheer psychological agony immediately emerges. This is the law of dependent origination operating flawlessly through a screen. Sensory contact strikes the fragile mind and ignites an immediate, visceral feeling. We desperately cling to the belief that these narratives are our permanent identity. But the reality is anatta, a structural mechanism entirely devoid of core substance. We construct incredibly rigid identities to protect our own fragile sense of safety. Yet this very rigidity makes us easily fractured and incredibly simple to shatter. We work insanely hard our entire lives to purchase the most luxurious beds, only to discover we have permanently lost the biological capacity for deep sleep. Have you ever noticed that your anxiety is merely a raw physiological reaction? One that you intentionally wrap in a grand theatrical drama of your own making. How do we permanently stop this deranged machinery of continuous, exhausting thought? You cannot use gentle persuasion to ask a Category 5 hurricane to subside. A mind drifting into a dark, simulated future must be short-circuited immediately. In the early texts, this precise psychological severing is called letting go of nandi. It is the absolute, abrupt cutting of delight and ingrained narrative attachment. But a mind thoroughly addicted to chaos requires a physical anchor to survive. It needs a massive, unyielding pillar to withstand the brain's raging current. That pillar is the raw physical sensation of breath in the present moment. When a terrified wild animal is tied tightly to a wooden post, it thrashes violently. It will run in frantic circles until it exhausts itself and surrenders to the pillar. Your narrative mind is that terrified, thrashing wild animal in the dark. The physical breath is the only solid ground in a rapidly collapsing world. Every single time you pull your attention back, you physically rewire your brain. You are ruthlessly seizing executive control back from the paralyzing grip of paranoia. Modern humans are smart enough to build artificial intelligence to think for us entirely, yet foolish enough to let basic algorithms dictate the value of a human soul. Are you living your life with true, awakened, and deliberate intentionality? Or is your entire existence being dictated by a rapidly decaying nervous system? If you truly believe you are the exact voice speaking inside your head right now, then who exactly is the silent observer being forced to listen to it? Ultimate, objective reality has never required defensive protection from anyone or anything. Only our fragile ego demands massive, fortified walls behind which it can hide. If your entire identity is just comforting fiction written over and over again, are you finally prepared to tear those pages out of the book forever? Or will you clutch them in blind terror until your very last breath?